that was the fact that they own this new asset class called commodities. Well, guarantee you, I can guarantee you a few things in this world, but they're going to be getting out of that position. Why? Because their donors are going to tell them, don't do that anymore. That didn't feel good. So yeah, I think that speculators last year were a huge portion of the reason for the run-up. And you can look at the last days. It wasn't a beautiful thing when Semcorp was the one responsible in those last days in July, puking on a short position and driving crude oil, WTI, up, what, $12 in its last 48 hours. To say that speculators weren't involved is naive. Every endowment, every pension fund in the United States crowded into a very small arena, and now they wondered, what were we smoking?
But it is fair to say that Semcor is a physical market participant. The financial
Oh, yeah, Semcor was a physical market participant. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, with a very large spec position. Let's not doubt that, too.
And the financial players, for the most part, are selling the prompt month crude. And the question is whether, because they never touch a physical molecule of the underlying commodity.
Yes.
So I still have some questions how crude got to $147. There's an argument to be made that it was driven by supply and demand situation.
There's not a question. Things got tight, no question.
Because by the time we got to that expiry date, we got late in the contract month, the financial speculators had rolled to the second month. They were not long the prompt month contract.
I'm not going to argue that. That's exactly true. Semcorp found itself short in an illiquid condition and had to rush for cover. But what drove it from, do I really think that it was clearly just only well-established supply-demand statistics in crude oil that took crude from 50 to 147? Well, why did spring wheat go from 3 to 25? You think that crude going from 50 to 150 was big? Take spring wheat from 3 to 25. Was there that tight a condition in the spring wheat market? Okay, maybe there was. Why did hard red winter wheat go from 4 to 12? Was there really that tight a condition? Well, maybe there was. Why did soybeans go from 4 to 15? Was there really that tight a condition in the bean? Well, maybe there was. But were all of them that tight at exactly the same time? And did they all top out in the same 24 or 48 or 54 or at most 72-hour period? Did suddenly supply-demand all shut off at exactly this? No. Clearly specs were involved, and clearly they got caught on the wrong side, and clearly they were too heavily involved, and clearly the market fell down.
Let's switch to natural gas for a moment, and the generic question around natural gas prices. Spot NYMEX gas contract today is trading around $4.50 per MMBTU. Price 1 year out is trading around $6.50 per MMBTU. What are your thoughts on on where that spot NYMEX gas contract will be in 1 month time, 3 months, 6 months time, and a year from now? Dennis, do you have some thoughts on gas?
Well, I in my own account and in the money that I run, I'll be honest, I look at nat gas in British thermal unit terms, and nat gas looks awfully cheap to me at $4.50 compared to even $32, $38, $42, wherever WTI crude oil is this afternoon. I think natty is cheap. So I keep trying to buy nat gas and keep trying to sell crude oil against it. And the trade lasts about 18 hours on my account and then tells me that I'm wrong again, and I blow it overboard. So I don't understand the nat gas market as well as some of the very insightful hedge funds here in Calgary apparently understand the nat gas futures markets. Oh, wait a minute. No, they have that problem too. So where do I think nat gas is going to be 6 months and a year from now? I bet we're 50 cents either side of $5, and I guess I'd sell anything above $6.50, and I guess I'd try to be a buyer somewhere down in the low fours. And when I trade nat gas, I tend on my own, since I don't understand the vagaries of the nat gas futures contract as well as I should, and the volatility of it frightens the living crap out of me. I tend, when I want to go long, I tend to own some of the nat gas trusts, because if I think it's going to go from $4.50 to $6, they'll probably get a small pop, and I get paid to own it. But yeah, I think 4.25 is cheap, and 6.5 is probably expensive. So
Jeff,
would I be selling the forward that deferred at $6.50 if I were a hedger? Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate.
Thanks for bringing that back home, Dennis. Jeff,
you can pay me later.
Well, you know, nat gas is cheap at Henry Hub. Is it so cheap in Rotterdam or Shanghai? I think we got the LNG equation asked backwards. we're not going to be importers of LNG. We're going to be exporters of LNG. Because unlike oil, as you probably all know, we're talking about a regionally segmented market. Okay? You can't move natural gas from one part of the world to the other part of the world like you can oil, which would equilibrate different regional changes in demand. And quite apart from the fact that, yes, we're going to see a cyclical recovery in if the economy recovers, natural gas prices will go up just in the same way that oil prices will go up, just in the same way that, steel prices will go up. Above and beyond that, I'm saying we're missing something. There's a market segmentation here, and we're building the wrong kind of terminals, okay? We should be exporting natural gas to Europe, and we should be exporting natural gas to the Pacific. Because you know what? The Russians, they don't need to send their gas to Quebec, okay? They've got a captive market in Europe. None of that stuff is going to come here. We've got to become exporters, and that's the big structural change that's facing the natural gas industry in North America. So quite apart from a cyclical recovery, I think the way that we're really going to take maximum advantage of our natural gas resources is to become a huge LNG exporter. And that means building different type of terminals than the ones that we've been thinking about building.
It also means building the ships capable of doing it. I live right across the river from Newport News Shipbuilding, which attempted to get into the business of building LNG carriers and gave up on it. The sophistication of building one of those ships, it's even far beyond the capabilities of building the aircraft carriers that we're so capable of building. So that's a real problem, is who builds these things and who trusts them.
And will the U.S. permit large-scale exports of LNG?
Why would we not? Why would we not? Give us the right price? Why would we not?
We permit exports of oil to the United States. Yeah. Why wouldn't we permit exports of LNG to the rest of the world?
Why would we not?
Energy security?
Okay.
I don't understand how that plays in Canada, the energy security.
It's not so much a Canadian issue, but I was just wondering from the U.S. market whether there's a potential restriction at some point to folks being able to export LNG.
Nah. No, the average American doesn't know where we get anything anyway, so what the hell? Honestly, it is. You want to hear something really fun? This, I think, is amusing. If you ask the average American, and I'm an American, you ask the average American, who is the United States' largest supplier of crude oil? And hands go up, 90% of them will tell you it's Saudi Arabia. And you have to say, no, on a good month they're third or fourth now, and sometimes fifth, which then you get an audience of 100 people who are looking at you quizzically, and they say, well, okay, now I've told you it's not Saudi Arabia. Who is the United States' largest supplier of crude oil? And I say, well, it's Russia. You say, well, no, we get a shipment of Russia once every 6 months, whether we need it or not. And wow, really? And they'll say, Iraq. You say, no, that we get almost nothing from Iraq. Now, the French get a lot of crude oil from Iraq, which is why they were so there with us in the war effort. Oh, wait, no, wait a minute. That doesn't work. Well, now Americans are very confused, so we don't get much from Iran. Nope, wrong. We don't get anything from Iran. Now you've got 100 people who are just absolutely beyond themselves because they've been told that we are dependent upon Middle Eastern crude, and every one of the Middle Easterners you've dropped out of. So